Ken, do you need to leave? Shall I come to you next?
Yes, why not? Yeah, I'll take the question about from up here. Yeah. Student satisfaction. Yeah, okay. If what you're saying is our students are dissatisfied but highly paid and very high employment rates, then maybe that's some kind of trade-off they're doing. I don't know. But more seriously, we have a plan in place to deal with the issues to do with student satisfaction, and that will come around. I'm very sure about that. Is it coherent to continue to teach from a single perspective? I don't think we do teach from a single perspective. I think there are alternative perspectives in the first year, the second year, and the third year. But we are considering, and we have discussed as part of our undergraduate review, the possibility of putting on modules from alternative perspectives, alternative schools of thought. So that's something that's very much up in the air, and maybe I'll do it in the next week.
Okay. Ken, you're going to take up this point. So we have a round of applause for Ken. The other speakers, so Paul, if that's the point.
Just on the blogging point, this is something that physicists have done a huge amount of very distinguished work on, understanding the structure of the internet and how ideas and behaviour is altered across it. They've got a very good understanding of this. So one point is to say that yes, any idea, even if it's just initially adopted by one person, given the graph theoretic structure of the internet, has a probability of getting global traction. The probabilities might be extremely small, but any idea can in fact percolate. But having said that, the structure of the internet leads itself to exactly the sort of things that Jonathan was talking about. It leads itself to a highly non-Gaussian distribution of outcomes in terms of how many. Think of downloads on YouTube. I mentioned the Harlem Shake. That's hundreds of millions, and yet most things get very, very little. So we see highly non-Gaussian outcomes as a result of that. So there is this self-reinforcing tendency to things which are successful to become more successful because of the self-reinforcing nature. So we can actually understand what's going on there. But yes, so it does encourage people to try different ideas and see what gets traction. But sometimes, as we know, bad ideas.
I'd like to pick up the point that you raised about who owns the journals and who benefits from the kind of work that's published in them, and broaden it slightly to include the question of who determines what an A-rated journal is. Well, we know the answer to the second one of those, but it is very important to realise that there are some very good journals dealing with heterodox economics that simply don't have the status which, on every criterion, impact factors and so on, they deserve to have. A journal like the Cambridge Journal of Economics, for example. So there's the question of who decides, what journal is a top journal. We know the answer to that. And then the question of who benefits from this work being published. Well, I hope you've all seen Inside Job. And I think we have a pretty good idea of the answer to that too. But I think it's very good of you to raise the question. And I would point out that there are little steps afoot to introduce a code of practice amongst economists, which would entail their declaring an interest when they are, for example, paid to write something by the Icelandic Chamber of Commerce, which may go some way to ameliorating the state of play as it stands at the moment. It's an important point to make.
And it should, in my opinion, it should be the same as for our politicians. They should have their sponsors as the footballers. They should have. Not really. If you look at the Republicans and the Democrats in the US, is like one is from Burger King, the other one is McDonald's, the other one is McDonald's, one is Goldman Sachs, the other one JP Morgan, one is this guy Hope.
I'm going to have to say that. Okay, I'd like to say Thank you very much everyone for coming. If we could first have a round of applause for all of our speakers. Ken can't mention there at the end, he answered the question up the top. They are considering alternative vector modules, but he definitely didn't guarantee that. If you've come along, you've been influenced, you've heard our points, and you've heard the points presented, and you think we have a point, please come and read our petition. There'll be copies at the front. Please speak to anybody in the society. And as I said, yeah, it's actually, keep the discussion going. We're putting lots more events in the future, so please come along. And it's time to make it better. Thank you very much.